Hello and welcome to Bayside RC for the 2026 Speedy RC RCRA Queensland EP On-Road Championships. My name's Chris Mitchell and I'm joined by Luke Watson and Jeff Hammond, a couple of very well-established Queenslanders in the on-road racing scene. G'day, gents. Despite it being a little bit soggy, we're prepped for a pretty exciting weekend here at Bayside.
Yeah, we've been looking forward to this for months, Chris. Everyone's been practicing, even interstaters. Just unfortunate the weather, it's a little bit cold, a little bit wet, but we'll get on track soon. And yeah, let's do a track walk and have a look and talk about this track, eh?
We shall. We're going to take you for a little walk around the track. We're going to talk about some of the nuances of driving on this joint and some of the cool history about this. Now, we've learned that this started in the early 2000s, was originally a concrete base, but with that painted boral top coat surface on that. I want to ask Jeff what it's like to actually drive on a surface, because we talk about painted surfaces, we think about slippery, but this track can actually pretty well grip up.
Yeah, it's actually really interesting. The boral coat seems to give off a different style of grip to a normal asphalt. It's also quite reactive to temperature and the UV. So I guess car setup's pretty unique when it comes to driving on a surface like this. But yeah, it has its different challenges and you kind of got to get used to it. And yeah, it's providing some pretty decent grip this weekend compared to the last couple of club days. But yeah, the rain actually seems to help clean the track a little bit and I guess grip up even more. So yeah, it's pretty good.
And we're not saying our thanks for the rain, though. We can get rid of all of that. Luke, the rundown here into turn one, John from the club was just telling us this is actually the extension that happened after the track was originally built. The old turn one kind of cut down into the mug handle, but this is pretty high speed and fun.
Yeah, this is pretty much flat out. In most classes mod, they might back off a little bit. It's high risk though. If you can get through here flat out, you're doing really well. And then you've got to prepare yourself for turn two, which is the tight hairpin, which we'll get to. And it's quite technical up to the next section. But turn one, there's sometimes some controversy because you can cut the grass if you push the limits. But I think the race director, John, will be on top of that one.
He's already been giving me the lecture on how hard we're going to get people. But you can see right here on the curbing, just the witness marks from the rubber cut in the corner. This is probably the fastest corner on the track by far with a mod car. How wild is it?
It is pretty wild. So there's a bump coming down the front straight on the line that you want to be on to apex this. So you kind of got to miss that a little bit to keep all four wheels on the ground. But a mod car hitting this painted surface can sometimes give you a little bit more grip. And yesterday we saw a couple of cars actually getting a bit on two wheels and doing a bit of a 360 coming out of it. But it is pretty wild, especially when you make a mistake and you run up the grass embankment there. And yeah, I've put my car in the car park a couple of times.
We've got carbon fibre lawnmowers here this weekend. Let's continue down into turn two. And as we're saying here, there's not really anything that's forgiving you if you do run off, because this grass embankment on the left-hand side can be pretty treacherous. The run down into turn two, check out this inside curb. That is classified as a speed bump for real cars. We're going to swing around here, but just look at the size difference on that. I got little feet, but even that is still already a very, very high curb. Turn one in qualifying won't be so bad in finals because the starting grid actually starts here, but this is pretty wild.
This turn two is, yeah, it's wild. You don't really hit the curb. You might touch it a little bit, but if you do, it's just going to upset you going back up the hill.
Yep.
And also, you can have two race lines here. You can come wide and shoot across and have a late apex so you get a better run. Or if your car's set up for the tighter sections, you can actually just hook in here and go back up the hill. So it's an important part of the track. It's hard work because you're coming here really fast from turn one. And yeah, it's going to be a key passing spot as well.
It certainly will be. Now, this is a really technical part of the track that sets up the next phase. Jeff Hammond, talk to me about this, because you come out of the hairpin and then the run down into the mug handle, again, a really, really treacherous curb, but you want to kind of make that straight shot to set yourself up for the double left-handers.
Yeah, again, you can actually see the undulation of the track where this crack is. It's a little off camber there, so coming out of this corner, you can actually take two lines as well, a fast flowing line and head for that apex where Matt's actually videoing from and then cut back into three. Or you can actually straight line this a bit and cut it a little closer. So it all depends on whether you hit that speed bump or not, what line you choose for this one. But yeah, the speed bump there is pretty interesting and it determines the rest of the part of the lap, I think.
I think to show the elevation change in this track, we're going to get Matt with the camera to stay there. We're going to walk past here and let's go over here. So the racing line comes down here. The starting grid still along here as well. Pole position starts on the apex of this left-hander, but even just from here, we've dropped a foot or two in elevation, and that can make this part of the track pretty tricky. It's great for drainage, though, because all the water seems to be going that way right now.
Yeah, actually coming back down the hill, you're coming up the hill on a camber and then you're sort of swinging back down. So the cars always seem to turn left a lot better than they do right in this section. That section of the track is also pretty fast coming up through here. So it's a bit of a, I don't know, another passing opportunity. If you run wide, you can shove it up the inside and, get your opponents off guard. But it also sucks you into the grass a little bit sometimes. So it's a pretty tricky section and fast.
It certainly is. And Luke, this run onto the back straight here, this is quite a very flat curve, very Euro style. You can actually seem to use a lot of the early part of the curve because it kind of tucks away again before you set up that run to the back straight.
Yeah, it does. This is a very different curve to the ones we just talked about, but the apex will draw you in as you come down the hill and suck you back onto the back straight. It's important to not muck around here. You want to get on the power as quick as you can and get going down the back straight. So this section that Jeff and I have just spoken about, there's time to be gained here if you can get it right.
Now, I'm not a human spirit level, but it feels like there's a bit of banking going on here. There's certainly some banking at the end of the straight as well. Matt, just quickly turn around and just show the undulation difference. You can see the little ripples in the way the concrete's been poured, but the banking at the end of the straight, there's plenty of undulation and camber change throughout this circuit.
Yeah, there is, and there's a few bumps as well. So you've got to have a good car balance, that left to right car balance, even forward and back. It's really important. And then the back straight was actually ground over a few months ago, so it's a little bit flatter, which has made the racing a lot better. You can actually race down the back straight. Before you kind of couldn't, it was single file. But yeah, the car balance is important. The bumps make it interesting, that's for sure.
Let's go teleport ourselves down to turn one here. Ripping down the back straight, Jeff, this is the place where you get to use the mod horsepower, and about the only place you get to use mod horsepower. What's this track like to drive in comparison to some of the bigger tracks and places that we're probably more used to? We think about Queensland, we think about Brendale and how fast that place is compared to this joint.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting how fast you do get up to on this back straight and how much turbo and boost you can use with the mod car. You do kind of close your eyes and hope for the best with the bumps and whatnot. You kind of just flow with the car and take your hand off the wheel. But compared to driving on a big track, it definitely, I don't know, it's fast-paced. Everything happens so quickly. The corners come up a lot faster. There's less, I guess, precision with the steering. It's more like a bit of a turn and rip, and you're kind of on the wheel the whole way, unless you're down the back straight where you take your hand off the wheel. But yeah, it's again unique.
As a former half-baked mod off-road racer, it really feels like a typical off-road track with like two-wheel drive mod. You really just work in the corners and shoot the car off. We're at the end of the straight now, and this comes significantly uphill. This creates, it's almost like a skate ramp, actually. You kind of bank the car in. How much brake are you really using with a mod car at the end of this straight?
This is, so generally speaking, on a bigger track and a flowing track, we use a 64 pitch gear for smoother acceleration and sort of finer gear ratios. Here I found a 48 pitch is like really needed because on the anchors here you will smash a 64 pitch spur gear all day. So I think most of us mod guys are on 48 now for this reason. But yeah, we are definitely probably the hardest braking area that I've gone any track, to be honest.
Wow.
Yeah.
And for the 13.5 and 21.5 classes, I mean, you don't need as much brake, but this is still really important.
Yeah, it is important because you're trying to brake as late as possible, but carry the corner speed. It's quite a wide turn compared to some of the turns. So you don't want to brake too hard and wash off your speed, but you want to keep flowing. And then at the exit of this corner, you've got to switch back for the next tight part. I was thinking about Jeff and his mod conversation about the speed on the back straight. We should get the radar gun out. The cars are quite fast in the, mid-14s lap times. Like for a mod car, it'd be interesting to see what speed they're getting at this straight.
I think yesterday we did see 14.5s in practice. I saw a couple of 14.6s as well. Again, check out this curb. It is dead flat here, but you can use it, but then if you touch this grass here, it will certainly punish you in sincere and total contrast to the curves we're going to come up to next here. Matt's going to film across. We're going to get these two corners just in one nice section here. This is quite a tight line from turn one or at the end of the back straight to dive into these switchbacks, and the video will not ever do it justice, but the amount of elevation change you get just in the middle of these two corners, this is significant. You see the splitters bottoming out, you see the cars get that snap rotation in the middle. This looks like a lot of fun.
It's fun when you get it right. It's tricky though because you've got to hit the brakes pretty hard for the first part to get it to pitch into the apex. But then you've got to get it to switch back really fast and actually power through it a little bit to come back up the hill. It's one of the hardest parts. If you're slow here, it suffers lap time.
Be absolutely hemorrhaging the lap speed. But again, you've got to stay off these massive sausage curves. Like you said, in the driving style, you're kind of just ripping on the steering wheel. How much actual refined aggression is required with these modified cars?
This all depends on the line that you get out of after the hairpin on the back straight. But this part of the track's actually what makes it crazy unique in terms of setup. So you need a lot of steering lock here to make the car get around these tight corners. But with steering lock, you upset the car for the high speed section. So it's a real balance whether you want to be fast on this part or easy to drive on the high speed section. So I feel like it's a balancing act.
Certainly a kind of track that separates the men from the boys. We'll take our step up here. We've been telling everyone to not walk across the grass and drag stuff onto the track. And I'll see if Matt can just turn that around, because the really significant elevation change right in the middle of this hairpin. This is the second to final corner. This is where you see a lot of cars actually grab the track as they're trying to come up the hill right on the apex. Can make things a little squirrely on this run to the final turn.
Yeah, so this little part here being nice and straight, flat, is a full power down opportunity. So this is where you want your car to square up out of the corner, hit full throttle and get to this next apex onto the front straight as quick as you can. So probably more important for a spec car as well, but the mods really, this is where you're going to see the traction down.
I'm looking forward to the finals this weekend as well, because we're going to see a lot of passing opportunities. This is a very unique track because it's a dead hairpin right on the final corner and the timing loop is right there. I'm sure you tried it at club days. How often can we really get those last corner battles on a track like this?
Oh, nearly every final. I think if they're close and competitive, you're going to see you can dive hard into the apex and pass cars, or you can come wide and try and power onto the straight and get a pass before the timing loop. So it's definitely going to happen.
And our crews that are pitted right here are going to get a front row seat to the action as well. There is a track walk of this amazing Bayside RC track that's been open since the early 2000s. Your host for this weekend, Speedy RC Queensland EP on-road titles, and will also play host to the Australian Championship later this year. We've got 120 entries this weekend. We know that the entry list is going to grow significantly for the National Championship. The undulation, the atmosphere that this track creates, forget the weather, in drier conditions, this is going to be a cracker of an event.
It's going to be amazing. I'm really looking forward to this event, but the Nationals is going to be wild with the amount of entries that we're going to get.
Lastly, good luck, mate.
Thank you, mate.
And for you, you're gonna clean up this weekend?
I'm in a class that's super competitive with super skilled drivers, but I'll be trying my best.
There we have it. This is your track walk for the Bayside track here for the Speedy RC Queensland EP on-road titles. Stay tuned. Keep an eye on the social media. All the results coming up this weekend. It's going to be an amazing weekend of racing.